the universe. So dark, mysterious, and unimaginably vast. Well, what if there was something even bigger? What if our entire universe was inside an unimaginably gigantic black hole? Here's the deal with the universe. It's so humongous that we can't see it all from Earth. So scientists observe what we can see and then make educated theories. A lot of times there's just no way to know for sure. Today, we'll explore how the universe formed and how it might die, how it could have formed inside a black hole, and what would that black hole do to you? Everything we think we know about our universe might be wrong. Now, we do know some things about black holes. First of all, that they come in a variety of sizes. We just haven't found one big enough to hold the entire universe. These light-consuming monstrosities have been around since, well, as long as the universe itself. Yeah, I'm talking about primordial black holes. We haven't seen one, but scientists theorize that in the first few seconds of the universe's existence, pockets of super dense plasma collapsed and created tiny black holes. Well, not all of them were tiny. Some could have been tens of thousands of times more massive than the sun. Maybe one of these swallowed our young universe, and together we kept growing. Okay, we'll get back to the different black hole sizes in a minute. Right now, you're in the middle of the hottest time in the history of the universe, the Big Bang. I'm guessing you're pretty familiar with the Big Bang Theory? Math, science, history, unraveling the mysteries? No, not the TV show, the actual theory. It all happened 13.7 billion years ago. Back then, every atom, material, and molecule in the universe was packed into an infinitely tiny and extremely hot singularity. Then, suddenly, a big bang. Everything expands and comes charging outward at the speed of light. In a fraction of a second, everything needed for complex galaxies to form is spilled out into this infinite space. Inside a black hole, gravity pulls everything in. Light, time, and your wallet if you're stacking AI subscriptions. You're probably already using AI tools to draft emails, organize research, or brainstorm ideas. And you're likely juggling a few subscriptions to make it all work. ChatGPT Plus? That's $20 a month. Add a couple more tools for writing, visuals, or automation, and you're looking at about $80 or more a month just to stay productive. Now, I used to do the same until I found Merlin AI. Now, not switching to it would be foolish, especially with the huge discount they're giving with the special code that I will be revealing soon. What's Merlin's secret? Well, Merlin buys official APIs from OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, and others, bundling them into an affordable plan with no scary limits. Now I can handle my research, emails, even what-if ideas without hopping tabs. It's legit, cost-effective, and smarter than paying for tools separately. It only cost me $60 for the entire year with the code Y5. That's $5 a month for O3, GPT-4, Claude 4, Gemini, Grok, DeepSeek. It's all included. This code won't last forever, so grab this offer as soon as you can. You don't want to miss out on this deal. Normally, Merlin costs $228 a year, but with the code Y5, it drops to just $60. That's almost $170 in savings. And it's not just cheaper, it's smarter. Merlin bundles all your tools into one clean hub. No more app switching or lost prompts. Everything just flows. Use the code Y5 when you sign up and get all your AI tools in one place. If our universe is really inside a black hole, well, then the Big Bang Theory is wrong. Because black holes don't expand things inside of them. Black holes compress. Okay, so scientists agree that the Big Bang is likely how the universe was born, but the universe being inside a black hole doesn't fit with what we know about the Big Bang. So, are we wrong about the universe? Where does this universe inside a black hole idea even come from? Well, I'll tell you, but buckle up, Buttercup, it's science time. Recently, a very curious science paper was published, and it made scientists doubt what we thought we knew about the universe. I'll try to break it down. The researcher looked out at our sky very closely with the James Webb Space Telescope and noticed something strange. About 2/3 of the spiral galaxies in a region of the sky appeared to rotate clockwise, while the other third of the spiral galaxies in that region rotate counterclockwise. Now, what's strange about that? Well, it's unexpected because the Big Bang Theory relies on something called the cosmological principle. It's the idea that on a large scale, the universe looks the same in every direction and in every place. That means that galaxies should be spread out evenly and their spins should be randomly oriented with no overall pattern. Turns out, they're not. And if we start to see more galaxies spinning one way rather than the other across large parts of the sky, that could be a sign that the universe isn't as uniform as we thought. And that would be a serious challenge to the foundation of modern cosmology. Still with me? Good. Well, you know what else is known to rotate? Black holes. Maybe being inside of one messes with the rotations in the universe. Now, here's something that'll really mess with your head. Take all the mass and energy in the observable universe and plug it into the formula for a black hole's event horizon. In that case, you get something pretty close to the actual size of the observable universe. Yeah, in other words, if the universe was inside a black hole, its radius would be about the same as the distance we can see in every direction. Maybe that's just a weird coincidence, but some scientists think it could be a clue. Maybe the reason we can't see beyond the edge of the observable universe isn't just because of light travel limits. Maybe it's because that edge is the event horizon of a black hole. Not one that's sitting out in space, but one that we are inside of. Think about that next time you look up at the stars. More importantly, how does being inside a gigantic black hole affect you? Well, I may have overplayed the way your life would change, other than the fact that you might be living inside an actual bigger than the universe black hole, which is pretty cool. Day to day, your life would be the same. But how would our universe ever have come to exist inside of a black hole? And does that mean our home black hole is inside another universe? And are the black holes in our universe also homes to other universes? Okay, I did the thing where I said universe too many times and now it's lost all meaning. Universe. Anyways, getting back on track. If our universe is inside a black hole, we'd really have to rethink how the universe began in the first place. The Big Bang Theory? Well, it could still describe how our universe started expanding and how galaxies formed, but instead of being the absolute beginning of everything, it might have been just the moment a black hole in some larger parent universe created a new, sealed-off pocket of space-time, our space-time. So, all the stuff the Big Bang model explains still works, it's just plugged into a much bigger story. Now, instead of the Big Bang, it could be the Big Bounce. That's the idea that our universe didn't start as a hot and dense singularity. Instead, it started when the previous universe collapsed. Now, our universe could have expanded and contracted so many times in its history. It could be much, much older than we suspect. The Big Bounce doesn't have to happen inside a black hole, but it could. Now, what type of black hole would that be? Well, in the beginning of this video, I mentioned primordial black holes, but even at their largest possible size, they're not big enough to hold the entire observable universe inside. So let's quickly check out some of the other types of black holes, starting with the stellar mass black holes. As the name suggests, these black holes form when a massive star collapses in on itself. The star has to be at least 8 times more massive than the Sun, so don't worry about this happening here. You won't ever see our Sun become a black hole, although the view could be pretty sweet. These stellar black holes are everywhere in the universe, but even though they sound massive, they aren't all that large. Stellar black holes are extraordinarily compact. For example, if Earth suddenly collapsed to become a stellar black hole, it would have a radius of about 1 centimeter. It's about the size of your belly button. So, yeah, these black holes definitely wouldn't be large enough to hold our entire universe. But intermediate mass black holes? Let's see. These black holes might sound mediocre, but, well, they actually are. For a black hole, I mean. But they're still impressive, and they have a mass anywhere from 100 to 1 million suns. Still, not big enough to fit the entire universe. But supermassive black holes, now we're talking. These are as massive as at least 1 million suns, and we don't even know how they formed. If we are inside a black hole, it would definitely be a supermassive black hole, right? Wrong. Even though they are unimaginably massive, supermassive black holes are still only astronomically large. They're not cosmologically large. Remember that black holes are unimaginably dense. Even a supermassive black hole that's 10 billion times the mass of our Sun would only be about 200 astronomical units across. That's about the same diameter as our solar system, if we include the Oort cloud. No, the black hole that could fit the universe would have to be stupendously large. And I didn't make that up. That's the actual name for these black holes. Stupendously large black holes, or slabs. Well, for now, slabs are hypothetical. We haven't seen one yet. Scientists think that if they do exist, they're extremely rare, or that they exist in unusual environments, like outside of our universe. We might never know. And while we're speculating on what kind of black hole might have swallowed our universe, that black hole could be preparing to end it. Yeah, did you think living inside a black hole would just be a cool fact you could bring up at parties? No. Black holes are dangerous and hungry. If somehow you were to approach a black hole and you got too close, you'd get spaghettified and die a horrible death. Chase, our space correspondent, knows something about dying in a black hole.
Oh God! I don't think they're supposed to stretch like that!
Anyway, we might be inside a black hole, and it might end the universe. Look, there are a lot of theories on how the entire universe might finally end. One popular one is called the Big Crunch. Yeah, it sounds like a delicious sandwich option at an Italian deli or at a KFC. But what it unfortunately means is that the entire universe goes... The idea is that right now, the universe is still expanding from our initial Big Bang singularity, but eventually it'll stop expanding, and when it does, all that mass will have such a strong gravitational pull that everything will begin to contract. The universe will shrink, and everything inside it will collapse. Planets will collide, asteroids will have a much higher hit rate, black holes will swallow more and more galaxies. It'll be chaotic. Everything will be destroying everything else until we return to being an insanely hot, dense singularity, similar to the one that started the Big Bang. Or until everything collapses in on itself and forms a monster-sized black hole. So we'd have a black hole inside a black hole, which sounds a bit Inception-y. But these two black holes would just merge into one, even more stupendous black hole. So yeah, it would kill everything you know, but the good news is that the contraction would take as long as the expansion. The universe has been expanding for billions of years, so even if the contraction started today, we'd still have a ton of time. Well, the gravitational forces of the black hole moving inwards might accelerate that a touch. The Big Crunch fits nicely into another theory we've talked about, the Big Bounce. In the Big Bounce theory, the universe doesn't just compress all the way into a singularity. It also expands again in the totally new Big Bang. But this theory doesn't make sense if we really are living inside a black hole. Remember how I said black holes don't expand things inside of them, but rather contract everything. Now imagine throwing a ball against a pit of goo. That ball is not bouncing back. Okay, that wasn't a perfect analogy, but there really isn't anything on Earth comparable to a black hole. And if there were, I wouldn't be making this video and you wouldn't be watching it. We'd both be getting spaghettified. Well, maybe the inward force of a black hole is so strong that it requires some kind of huge cataclysmic explosion for anything to expand. Yeah, there's still some things scientists need to think over for all of this to make sense inside a black hole. So let's just say the Big Bounce is canceled and the universe is somehow set to expand forever and ever for all eternity. Well, that's not happening because there's another theory for the end of everything. It's called the Big Freeze. In this model, the universe reaches a point of maximum entropy. That's the state where the universe has expanded so much and distributed all its energy so evenly that nothing interesting is happening anymore. The universe will slowly become so dark and so cold that no life can emerge on any planet in any galaxy. It'll all come to a standstill. The only entities left in the universe will be black holes, but even those eventually decay. If we were inside a black hole, the universe's expansion is a tough one to explain. Like I said, black holes like keeping things densely packed. If the Big Freeze is how it all ends, well, I don't see how that could happen inside a black hole. All these theories are built on different assumptions about observations of the universe. Right now, it's impossible to know which assumptions are true, which makes everything possible, even an extremely violent end. The Big Rip, which, excuse my language, sounds like a fart. Seriously, science needs to revisit its naming conventions. Okay, so the Big Rip is the kind of end where the universe keeps expanding faster and faster, thanks to mysterious dark energy. Now, we don't know what dark energy is, but we do know it's there because galaxies are moving away from each other faster than they should if gravity were the only force at play. It's like there's an invisible pressure pushing everything apart. Eventually, any 2 points in space would be torn apart faster than the speed of light. At this speed, the laws of physics no longer apply, and we enter a rate of expansion that causes complete chaos and destruction. On the off chance humanity is still alive at that point, you'd probably be vaporized in less than a second. You wouldn't even have enough time to register the pain before you ceased to exist. If this elusive dark energy does overcome the forces of a black hole, well, then the big rip could still happen inside of it. So yeah, the most violent option is still viable if we lived inside a black hole. Alright, there's one last doomsday possibility. It's called the Big Slurp. Are you kidding me? Okay, I thought the Big Freeze was going to be the most slushy sounding one, but no, there's also the Big Slurp, more well known scientifically as vacuum decay. Now, our universe is not a true vacuum. It's almost a vacuum, but there are still particles and magnetic fields in all areas of space. If there were to be some kind of high energy event out in space, well, this may cause an area of the universe to go from a false vacuum to a true vacuum, and that would be catastrophic. What starts as a small vacuum bubble would rapidly expand in all directions and at the speed of light and tear up the entire universe. But vacuums existing inside a black hole would be pretty unlikely, given that black holes are constantly taking in matter. So again, that theory would be pretty irrelevant if our universe were inside a black hole. If we are inside a black hole, well, that black hole could be part of another universe, and that universe has other black holes that could have universes, and in those universes, well, more black holes with more universes. Even if we're not inside one, our universe has black holes that might be home to others. Okay, I did the thing where I said the universe too many times and now it's lost all meaning. Tartlets. Tartlets. The point is, the idea is like an infinite cosmic nesting doll. Every time you think you've reached the end, look again, there's another. And in this multiverse system, each of these universes could have their own laws of physics. Like maybe in one universe, large mass has a repelling effect, so gravity works in the opposite direction, and everyone's getting flung out into space all the time. Or maybe pushing something away makes it move toward you. These may sound absurd, but there's just no way of knowing the way different universes have been warped. Somewhere billions of universes away from ours, or maybe in the universe right next to ours, there's an identical version of you doing the exact same thing. There's also an identical version of you living out the dream that you never pursued, Brian. There's a version of you that's married to your crush, there's a version of you that has your dream job, there's a version of you that has my job. You get the picture. There's millions of you out there doing better than you. But don't be sad, because with infinite universes, there are also millions of you doing worse, too. We're getting a little carried away. Well, I'm getting carried away. Let's go back to that intriguing paper that started all this conversation about the universe being inside a black hole. Well, the thing is, it hasn't been confirmed by any large surveys yet. We still have so much to learn about our universe. Maybe one day we really will find the black hole that swallowed us. Who knows? I get the feeling that day is not today. But there are plenty of black holes to go around. Someday, you might find yourself near one. But I wouldn't recommend jumping into it, even for a nanosecond.
Oh God! I don't think they're supposed to stretch like that!
That's a story for another What If. Hey, thanks Merlin AI for sponsoring this video. You can get all your AI tools in one place for just $5 a month.